Hello, and welcome back. It's been a while. I'm in a new place. Got a new window, and yeah, I want to make this new video to show you my newest piece that's been inspired by Francis Bacon. He's a pretty good artist. He's from back in the day when all artists were pretty cool. I really like his work. I've seen it on Instagram, and he's just one of those artists that just, I don't know, just seeing his work just inspired me to like make something, and I really wanted to get an idea that I've had for quite a while, and I thought combining his style and this idea together would be pretty cool, and would make a pretty good piece. And just taking inspiration from an artist, a previous artist, and meld it with my style, I just thought it's a pretty good idea, and it's a pretty good YouTube idea. So hello and welcome to this video where I'll be making my Francis Bacon inspired art piece. So with the idea of this piece, or the meaning, I don't really want to give this piece a meaning so much as to say that I got very inspired by Francis Bacon's piece, and like the figure drawings and the way the positions of the bodies that aren't completely formed. I got this idea of someone on a bed and moving, and a sense of motion, and I thought that looked pretty good and would be pretty close to Francis Bacon's pieces, or very inspired. And yeah, as soon as I started mocking up this drawing of something that I liked, I then got a final piece, and when I was happy with that, I then started experimenting. Why is that so hard to say? Ugh, I'm nervous. So when I first got this idea, I needed to get it down in paper, and to be fair, I've done it quite a lot in this book so far. This is my current drawing book, and yeah, I was just going through, and every so often I was just trying to get an art piece out and onto paper. As well as that, in that acrylic experimentation, I found out that, and also my previous video where I was showing off finger painting, as well as Francis Bacon's style, there's a lot of fingerprint marks in his work. So when I was experimenting, I kind of took it upon myself to use my fingers to kind of recreate the style, or recreate what he does, and yeah, so I applied my fingerprints to the page, and I created some designs and some practices of what that could look like. And I don't know, I find it, I think the idea of using fingerprints on a piece is very humanizing, and I feel that it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like, it made me acknowledge that maybe art making as a medium is a lot more personal of a thing. It's personal to begin with, creating a piece and showing off to people and kind of representing this as something that I solely have created. But adding fingerprints to the piece is kind of, it's more, I don't know, it's very, it crosses a border of how personal that piece is to someone, and kind of showing that this is my fingerprint and no one else in the world could recreate this with my fingerprint, and it just adds another layer of personalization to a piece that I really like, and I think I'll be taking that forward with maybe the rest of the pieces in my whole life, and especially with oil painting. I'm not sure if it would have the same effect with acrylic, but I'm yet to find out. But just the sort of marks that it makes is just crazy, and the smudging that you can do with finger painting with oils is borderline the same as chalk in a way. So the reason I wanted to use oil painting was because I ran out of acrylics and rather than get some more, I just decided, you know what, I haven't painted anything with oil painting, and I feel like that's the next step of an artist's journey. I don't know, it's just a harder medium. Everyone knows that acrylics are easier to dry, and they're easier to use, and they're more unwielding than acrylics. So yeah, I just wanted to try something new, really, and I know how thick and bulky oil paints can be, as in like the paint kind of like jumps off the page and is a bit like bumpier than acrylics, because acrylics, once they dry off, they're usually a bit more flat and they don't really hold much 3D-ness about them. But yeah, I just wanted to try something new essentially, and go for oil painting, because I thought, why not? So that is why I experimented a bit more than I would usually with acrylics to start with. And I feel like this page especially came out pretty good. So this is me just opening up the canvas of my piece, and now this is just me putting my thin outlines of my final piece. And this is just the drawing of, or it's just a finalized drawing of the one that I did at the beginning, the idea drawing. This is just my next drawing of my final piece, but this is what I'm going to be painting over, so I shouldn't add too much detail, but I think I end up doing it. Yeah, and as you can see, I'm rubbing a few things out and then going back over them, but overall just trying to keep it loose and ready to start painting on. And I think I was pretty happy with how it turned out, and yeah, I pretty like it. Okay, what am I doing? I'm doing this. I'm so in love with you. Whatever you want to do. And then from the coloured chalk, I then went on to experiment with some oil paints. I haven't really had much experience with oil paints, if I'm being honest. My choice of painting is, or has been, acrylic so far, with all my major pieces. But yeah, so this is just some experimentation. Also, I looked at Francis's paintings to get some inspiration with the arrows and some sort of like clamping down squares that aren't actually squares, kind of just some rectangles, and I feel it kind of makes it a bit claustrophobic in certain images. But I also had this idea of like a window, like a golden yellow godly sort of aura window in the piece that kind of is reaching out for and needs to be grabbed. And then carried on with some more experimentations. And the window, I didn't really have a good idea of the window, so just some experimentation of what I wanted it to look like. Things like this, so just slicing the page up into 4 sections and drawing down things that I think would look good. A lot of this is all inspired by Francis Bacon's minimalistic style of composition and shapes and objects that sort of represent things that you would kind of, your brain kind of develops for you onto a piece. Like you kind of see things that aren't exactly there. Abstract. And yeah, just going through different compositions and things I could show, and yeah, but every so often I draw something and something kept on coming up and I feel is very close to his style. So this is kind of just painting drafts and experimentations that kind of incorporate Francis's style and what and also the start, the composition of the piece that I was doing. Then I started incorporating some color, so I got some pastel crayons and I started incorporating color, and these sort of colors kind of drew out to me. I like the way as well that I could draw with the pastel colors and then with the chalk kind of blend it across the page and just smudge it, and kind of in the way that his portraits kind of have humanoid figures that are very defined but then can kind of just blend off into the distance of just colors and abstract things, but you can tell that there's a face. So I kind of experimented with that, and then going on into acrylics. I'm very new to acrylics. I haven't really painted much with oils. So with my final piece, now that I've drawn it and I'm happy with it, I'm just going to be washing it over with some blue acrylic. I'm washing it with blue acrylic because when I've started painting, it just basically, when I paint and then I leave a few holes, it's not going to be white and it's not going to be raw canvas, so it's not going to be poking out. But it doesn't really matter too much with this because I'm going to be adding so much acrylic and making sure that it's quite thick and ready to yeah, and that there won't be any holes in it. And also I'm just painting really thick with acrylic just to give it level and detail. So now I'm adding my dark lines and my dark skeleton outlines, I'd say. It's nothing really, it's just starting with the black and working my way in. I'm just getting the black done first, just so that it's there and it's on the base, so it's at the bottom, so when I add my highlights it can go on top and that it stands out. yeah, and I'm just going over all the outlines of everything, which is very in line with how Francis Bacon did his paintings, with black outlines, but I will be going over that again, with black outlines towards the end. But for now, I'm just doing my, as I said, skeleton outlines. Now I'm just going over with the light and my yellow light of the window. I think I added a bit of blue in this to begin with because it turns out quite greenish when I wanted it to be like a really vibrant yellow. So I'll end up going over that again in another session, and then I mix up the red and try and create a skin tone, and then I add a bit of blue to get it dark and skin tone color, and then when I'm happy with it, then I add it to the face. With this face, I feel like it's very abstract. Like I haven't drawn it realistic. It's kind of just trying to fit in the same style vein as Francis Bacon's pieces. I do add further details, but I was pretty happy with the way that it kind of looks of just the side profile, without too much detail. I then do add more detail to it to try and get it look a bit defined. I then get the hair tone that I want and I start painting it. This will just be a base, as I'll go on to painting different color tones on top to try and get it looking like hair. So this is just for the bottom, like the wash of the canvas. This is just so that when the lines of the hair come through, then you'll be able to see this color at the bottom. And then I go on to painting pure red for the jacket, like a red jacket that this guy's got on. And yeah, I think that's nearly all of it. And then I just go on to add a few more details to the face, just giving him a few more different skin tones and colors and texture. So now that I'm happy with the face of the guy in the corner, I'm just going to leave that for now, as I then go on to, now that the outside skeleton of the dark colors have finished, I'm going to be going over the colors in the inside. So I'm just going to paint up the light tones in the inside. But also, I'm not going to be painting straight light to dark, like the shadow or the colors going into light from dark. I'm going to be painting all different tones next to each other, because I feel like it just adds a bit of a chaotic, messy style that I'm quite fond of. So I'll be adding like highlights, like white highlights, straight next to mid-tones and dark tones, and I'll just be going all over the place, because I feel like I do have a style, and that is what it is really. Like I like painting lots of different styles with different tones right next to each other, because it just adds texture to a piece. and that's what I've done. All in all, I feel like this scene that you're seeing me paint now, and the way it is so far, it's there, but it just needs a few more details. I'm happy with the way it's looking so far, although the arm reaching out, I feel like it's a bit green, and I will be going over it with consecutive more paint. I'm happy with it looking now, but I know at the time I wasn't feeling too good about it. I didn't think it looked quite right, but looking now, I feel like it's on its way, and it's the way it should look. I know that there's a lot more work that needs to be done.
You haven't been painted.
That doesn't quite. Okay, I'll take that. Also, I took a break to watch the Zelda trailer, and then I took it was like an hour break. I went back to it, and since then I've just fucked everything up. I've kept on painting, but just now it's the main thing. All my practices were coming out amazing, and I just took an hour break, and now everything I've done since I went back to it has just gone shit. So I'm just taking.
You're on the zone.
Stopping. Yeah, I am. I shouldn't have taken that break.
No, probably not.
But Zelda. This piece, I started painting with oil paints, and then halfway through, I had run out of, or not run out of, I didn't have any turpentine. Turpentine is what I found out to be the only liquid that can get rid of paint on paintbrushes, which is pretty cool. Well, not in my instance, because I didn't have any, so I started painting with oil paints without any turpentine. So yeah, when I finished, my brushes kind of just stuck together, and yeah, I was pretty stuck at that point. So this is me, yeah, essentially just brushing out the oils when I finally got my turpentine. And yeah, this is just me getting rid of all the nastiness, off of my brushes and clearing them up. In future, I'll now know that this is the only thing you can use. Literally, it stopped me for so long for not having anything to get my paint out of the brushes. Yeah, you can't use water. I learned that the hard way. Okay, so this is me going back at it and painting some more, painting over what I've already done so far. So I start with painting the window the color that I wanted. Also, I'm going back over the arm that I did because I didn't feel like it looked good enough. Also, painting like a hand with this big of a brush was quite difficult. I definitely need to invest in better, smaller paintbrushes. But yeah, obviously wasn't a fan of that because I've just gone straight over it. But now I'm happier with the color of the yellow since I've done 2 coats. And then from there I'm adding like a really dark blue with a red to create this like midnight purple sort of dark color, and I'm going to be using that as my background, so I'm just going over all the background spaces with this color. I feel like it definitely is a contrast to the yellow, the brightness of the yellow window, which was my goal in trying to make that look the way that it does. But also it kind of blends with the darkness of the blue figure, I like the way that looks. And here you can see me using my fingers to kind of give it that personalized look that I was talking about. And I wanted some resemblance of my fingerprints to be on the piece. And now I'm going back over the face of the figure. For this I needed a reference, so I literally just ran downstairs and took a picture of my dad and the closest person that I had at hand, and that was good enough to be my reference. I just needed that angle of somebody's face just to get the color tones and what it would kind of look like. Realistically, I should have done this before, but yeah, it worked for me here. I just needed to know what the hair would look like and the position and how it kind of forms behind your ears. And then I got a spatula and just started going around with the spatula to kind of give it a messy, liney look. Yeah. I'm just mixing a bunch of colours and going back at the skin tone, just adding a bit more texture to the face, trying to build it up and make it a bit more layered than it was. Adding different textures to the nose so it kind of looks like there's a different distance between the face and the nose, which I feel like I kind of captured, as well as just going back at the hair with a spatula and kind of giving it like a line texture effect to kind of make it look like hair. And then towards the front of the head I've got like a lighter shade of yellowy brown to kind of give it a sort of reflection off of the window. Now I'm just going back over the body of the main figure, of the moving figure I should say, kind of giving it a bit more darker depth and highlights. Essentially just trying to give him a bit more form. I think I ended up fixing the leg because the leg wasn't in the position that I would have wanted. There's like 3 legs and they're all in different positions, so I just kind of wanted to make sure that they're all highlighted and that the bottom one kind of makes a bit more sense in the way it's positioned, so I kind of ended up fixing that, as well as just going over the full body with just random paintbrush, with random different paint colors to give everything more texture. Giving the arms a bit more definition in the way that they're unfolding, and yeah, adding highlights to the pillows. And more texture throughout the body, and just building it up essentially. I wanted it to, I like this bit because it kind of shows like an arch to the back of the figure, that it's moving and that it's all in one form, like a congealed human in like one form or another. And then going over like the hair in all the different face positions, and then giving it some darker shadows in the back. This probably isn't the best, I'm kind of just covering half the page, but it's where I needed at the moment to paint. Yeah. And now I'm going over with pure black, or pure dark blue, the hand of the figure. I wanted to paint it pure dark because I knew or because I was thinking that that's kind of what I needed to show that it's in the light, because that's what would happen if you had something in the light. It'd just be black in a camera or something. But I'm also going using this like blackish shade of blue to just do outlines essentially of the figure and of the darkest places. Going back to Francis Bacon, this is his style. He would have forms and figures and then outline them with black. So this is kind of what I'm doing here, as well as filling out the leg that I kind of messed up on and trying to fix that. And now I am going back with black to kind of give the back muscles definition, as well as outlining the back completely, to make it its own form, and just carving out like the bottom leg. I do like the way how that's turned out, because now it just gives it a bit more form. And then yeah, I think now I go with my highlights to combat the darkness and give it its highlights of the window. And yeah, I do like how the way it's come out. I think it's pretty good, and yeah, I hope you like it too. So now it's been a few days since I last painted, and yeah, it's just been a bit of a gap. So at this point now, I'm quite happy with the way it looks. I think it's pretty good, but I know that there's a lot of final details that I want to add to this final piece. So I begin with adding a few more lighter tones. I think I'm doing here. Yeah, so I'm just giving it light highlights, lighting up the bar of the piece, and adding more highlights to the shoulders to give the back muscles definition, as well as going along the side to try and give that a bit more light, as well as the ankles. And now I'm going on to the hand and giving that a bit more colour, because I feel like having it just the dark shade of blue is a bit boring. And now I'm going on to do his earlobes, the inner of his earlobes, and getting that good. So I just go back to just a darker shade of skin tone for this, and I try and make accurate shapes of the earlobes. But yeah, the positioning of the canvas right here isn't probably the best. I should have made sure that I keep it in a certain position, but never mind. Now I'm drawing the arrow, a staple of Francis Bacon's piece. There's always like a certain arrow or like a red marker just blatantly in his pieces, either showing a direction or like a place to go. It's kind of just out there in the kind of breaking the fourth wall, which I kind of liked, so I've incorporated it into this. And then one of his box-like angular squared lines, I'd sort of say. I'm not sure how to describe it, but yeah, as I said before, I feel like these things kind of add certain this especially creates sort of like a claustrophobic feel, like sort of like an outline of a room without actually having to show it. I think what Francis Bacon did was quite clever in the way that he uses shapes and things to kind of convey different meanings. So I just wanted to recreate that in my own style and give it its own context with my piece. I'm just going over the lines now, trying to make them look a bit more defined, but yeah, and that's it. I'm pretty finished with it now. I feel pretty good about it. I like the thickness of it and the lumpiness, and that's all good. Okay, so this is it. This is my finished piece. I think it came out pretty good. I really like the loose style of it. I kind of like how kind of lumpy it is and how thick the oil paints come out. It's still not quite dry. That's the one thing with this piece, it just took so long to dry and then for me to start again or to start on a new layer of the piece. But yeah, as it turns out, I think it's pretty good. I like the composition and I feel like all my practices kind of came out to this. I feel like it's very similar to Francis Bacon or in his style, but also in a way it's kind of my own. It's my style, and it's not as loose as his pieces. It's not as abstract, but I feel like it's very similar and in a line, and yeah. I like how the arrow turned out and juxtaposition of all the colours, and yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you like this piece as much as I liked making it. Goodbye.